Okay, so one of the assignments that you're going to get is adding fractions. So you've watched the video by now, and you've watched the 2 videos that I gave you for today. This is going to be due tomorrow, but I wanted to go over it with you to kind of give you some perspective and make sure that you completely understand the steps. So this first problem is 2 over 12 plus 4 over 6. So when we look at the steps tell us the first thing to do was to find the least common multiple. Well, you can do a tic-tac-toe board, or you can look at your 2 denominators. So my denominators are 12 and 6. Well, 6 is smaller. So I'm going to say, can 6 go into 12? If the answer is yes, then 12 is your denominator. In this case, it is. 6 times 2 is 12. So 12 is going to be my denominator. Okay, well, now we're going to make equivalent fractions. 2 over 12 equals blank over 12. Well, 12 is 12, so that means 2 is 2. 4 over 6 equals something over 12. Well, 6 equals 12, and the way to get 6 equal 12 is to multiply it by 2. 6 times 2 is 12. So then I'm going to multiply the numerator by 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, so now I'm going to X out this fraction, this set of fractions, because I'm done with those. And it's 2 twelfths plus 8 twelfths. Well, 2 plus 8 is 10, and the denominator is 12. Well, I know that when I have an even over an even, that I am going to divide. So I'm going to make an equivalent fraction, but I'm going to do it by dividing. Now, even over an even will always reduce. So the one number that goes into all even numbers is 2. So I'm going to start by dividing it by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 5 over 6 is as low as it's going to get, because 5 and 6 have nothing in common. So there would be your answer. Okay. 3/5 plus 2/10. So this was A, and this is C. So these are answers. So make sure you're copying these down, because you can just put these answers into the worksheet. So 3/5 and 2/10. My denominators are 5 and 10. 10 is bigger, so I'm going to look at the 5. Can 5 times a number equal 10? Yes, so 10 is going to be my common denominator, which means this fraction is going to stay the same. Okay, 2/10 is going to equal 2/10. That one didn't change. Now, 3 over 5 equals blank over 10. Well, 5 equals 10 when I multiply it by 2. So, on the numerator, I'm going to multiply by 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 6/10 plus 2/10. I'm going to X this out because I'm done with it. And I'm going to add the numerator. 6 plus 2 is 8. And the denominator is 10. All right, so now I'm going to look again, and I'm going to say even over an even. So that means I can reduce it. So we're going to look at, can 8 go into 10 evenly? The answer would be no. 8 can't go into 10 evenly. But I can reduce both the top and the bottom by the number 2, because they're both even numbers. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay? So your answer is 4/5. Okay, let's look at H. H is 1/6 plus 1/3. So I'm going to make my spot for my equivalent fractions. Okay, so let's look. 6 and 3 are my denominators. 3 will go into 6 evenly, so that means 6 is going to be my denominator, which means 1/6 is going to be equal to 1/6. That one doesn't change. 3 is going to be equal to 6 when I multiply it times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. So I'm going to multiply the numerator by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. These are no longer necessary, and all I'm going to do is add the numerators. 1 plus 2 equals 3, and the denominator is 6. All right, now look at this one. This one's different, okay? 3 over 6 I know can reduce because the number 3, which is the numerator, it's not even over an even, but I know the number 3 times another number will equal 6. So since I know 3 will go into 6, I'm going to divide the top and the bottom, because we have to do it the same number. I'm going to divide both of them by 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 3 over 6 is the same as 1/2. Okay, let's do let's do D. Kind of skipped it. 1/3 and 3/9. This is kind of the same way. So we're going to make equivalent fraction spots. There we go. Okay, so my denominators are 3 and 9. I know that I can multiply 3 times another number and get 9. So 9 is going to be my common denominator, or my least common multiple. Okay, so I can make 3 equal to 9 when I multiply it by 3. 3 times 3 equals 9. So then I need to multiply by 3 in the numerator. 1 times 3 equals 3. 9 is already equal to 9. It's the same number. So that means 3 is going to be equal to 3. So there's my 2. I found my common denominator. I made equivalent fractions. And now I'm going to X this one out. And I'm going to add the numerators. 3 plus 3 is 6. And my denominator stays the same. Okay. Now, if you look at 6 over 9, that's an even over an odd. So that's not an even over an even. But I know that there's a number that goes into both 6 and 9. So think about the factors that equal 6 and the factors that equal 9. Can you think of a number that both goes into both 6 and 9? Okay. I'm going to divide top and bottom by 3. Okay, because 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. The number 3 goes into both of those digits. Okay, so the answer would be 2/3. All right, let's look at the back. The back is subtraction. Okay. So when you have subtraction, sometimes you will still have to reduce, but not always. Okay, so you just have to look. Let's look at A. 4 over 8 minus 1 over 4. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to find the common multiple. So denominators are 8 and 4. 4 will go into 8 evenly. So 8 is my common multiple. So it is now my denominator. So there's my denominators. Now I'm going to make equivalent fractions. 4/8 equals blank over 8. 8 equals 8. So that means 4 is going to equal 4. 1 over 4 equals blank over 8. 4 is equal to 8 when I multiply it by 2. So then I have to multiply the numerator by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. I made 2 new fractions. I don't need this one anymore. We're subtracting. 4 minus 2 is 2, and the denominator is 8. That is an even over an even. The number 2 goes into all even numbers, so I'm going to divide the top and bottom by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So A would be 1/4. Okay, let's look at B. 7 over 12 minus 3 over 6. So my denominators here are 12 and 6. Well, 6 is smallest, and it goes into 12 evenly. So that means 12 is going to be my common denominator. I'm going to make equivalent fractions. 7 over 12 equals blank over 12. Well, 12 is 12. It's the same number. So 7 is going to be 7. That one didn't change. 3 over 6 equals blank over 12. 6 is equal to 12 when I multiply it by 2. 6 times 2 equals 12. So I'm going to take the numerator and multiply it by 2. And 3 times 2 is 6. Now I'm going to mark out my fractions because I have my 2 new problems. And then I'm going to subtract. 7 minus 6 equals 1. The denominator stays 12. I don't need to reduce it or do anything else to it because it is completely done. Okay? One half plus minus 1/3. This is H. 1/2 minus 1/3. Well, on this one, my 2 denominators are 2 and 3. 2 times a number doesn't equal 3. So we have to do a tic-tac-toe board for 2 and 3. You should be able to see what it is. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So if you look at those 2 tic-tac-toe boards, I see that I have a 2 here. Nope. 4. Nope. 6. Yes. Okay. So you see that 6 is going to be your LCM. So I'm going to make an equivalent fraction with 6 as my denominator. Okay. You could also just have said 3 times 2 is 6 and use that as your denominator. All right. So 1/2 equals blank over 6. 2 is equal to 6 when I multiply it by 3. So then I have to multiply the numerator by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 over 3 equals blank over 6. 3 is equal to 6 when I multiply it by 2. 3 times 2 equals 6. So then I multiply by 2 in the numerator. 1 times 2 is 2. Now we're going to subtract. 3 minus 2 is 1. And my denominator is going to be 6. Okay? So follow the steps and make sure you follow that you're looking for your LCM, which is your least common denominator. You're making that LCM into your equivalent fractions. Okay? That LCM becomes your denominator and making equivalent fractions. And then once you've made your equivalent fractions, mark out the original problem so that it doesn't get confusing for you. And then you're going to either add or subtract the numerators only. And then if you have an even over an even, or if like with the multiplication, you see something that both numbers have in common, you reduce. Okay? On the assignment, be sure and read the directions. It tells you that there's no fraction bar on the problems. Just the top box would be the numerator and the bottom box would be the denominator. Okay? Do the best that you can. We will have a Google Meet on Thursday. Hopefully I will not have a meeting on Thursday. Okay? But if you do have questions, send me an email or send me a message in Clever and I can do a Google Meet later in the day during my conference or after school.